Hello, 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 and welcome to Unique Leaders Live. And it is my favorite day of the week. It's Friday, and it is because of Unique Leaders Live. And you are in for such a treat today with my guest, Sandra Dee Robinson. Robinson, I think she'll correct me if I'm wrong. But the thing about Unique Leaders Live is it's about my guest. It's about their story. Success is in their story. You know, you hear that success leaves clues. I don't like clues. I like the whole thing, the whole story. So Sandra is going to be able to share with you today about her life and where she began and what unique and amazing things she has accomplished in her life. So I want you to sit back and enjoy the visit that we have with Sandra Dee Robinson. Hello, my dear.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
I am so good that you're here with me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
So as I shared in the intro, this is about you, Sandra Dee, and this is about what your life and what you've done and what that story led you to today.
Yes.
So without further ado, let's begin with young Sandra Dee. Where I don't know this. Where did you grow up? I really don't. I know a lot about you, but I do not know a few of those nuggets. So where did you grow up? And when did you start to realize Sandra Dee was going to do some of the things she has done?
Oh gosh, it's still me realizing what it is that I'm going to be doing. It's a constant journey.
Well, we're all evolving. Yes,
exactly. I could ask you the same thing and you'd look and go, oh, there's so many things. We never really know where we're going. We just keep following my journey. But no, I'm from the Midwest. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In fact, I just got off a call with a woman who had been following me for a while. It turns out that she lives a few blocks from where I grew up, essentially, which is interesting. So, I left my parents home when I was 17. I've actually been in front of the camera since I was 11. So when I was just turned 17, maybe 18, I just turned 18. I went to New York City during that summer to audition. I had met a manager from New York City and said that, I wanted to be an actress, and nobody that I had, keep in mind, this is Midwest, like then different from now, where if I go back to where I grew up, that town is now loaded with people that work in the TV and film industry because it's just sort of spread out across the United States. At the time, that wasn't so. We didn't know anybody that performed. I don't know where I got in my mind that I was going to be an actress. I have some ideas, but my imagination just took off. And so I had the opportunity to go to New York and audition. I did that over summer, and I booked my first of many daytime soap opera roles. And so that role I played for all of 9 years, but I was there, I left, did other shows, I came back. And all told, gosh, there was Another World. That was the show that I was talking about. I kind of grew up on. Sunset Beach, Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, The Bay, which was an on and now Emmy Award winning online soap opera. And then of course there's the nighttime things that'll still show up, and I have people post and send me messages and I just saw you on Criminal Minds or 2.5 Men or whatever it was. So that was primarily what I did for the longest time. And I chose acting. It's kind of a surprise because as a communication specialist now, working with professionals and helping them with their honest, authentic leadership and communication, and everything from their marketing to videos to pitching in a boardroom to, and I love doing this, helping people really conquer the stage at a conference and keynote. That focus on authentic communication came ironically because I got most of my young success, most of my career was successful in being completely inauthentic. I was somebody else
playing someone else. Yes.
And that was deliberate. That was deliberate for me so that I didn't have to be me. That's why I chose that.
And you were cognizant of that. You realized that.
I didn't realize it at the time. It was sort of it was a survival. When you're doing things for your mental and in a way physical survival. So I know that there's people that may be listening that had trauma or abuse or something at some point. You do something that allows you to survive that mechanism, and it works for a while. And then it doesn't, and you have to find, I'm actually missing out on a lot of life because I'm doing this thing. And
Mhm.
that was kind of what it was like for me. I chose that because it felt like I was safe doing it. It felt I
Interesting.
was safe being someone else
Interesting.
until I would step off the stage or out of the studio, and then it'd have to be me again, and then I wasn't safe. So
Interesting.
I felt safe when I was working,
Mhm.
which gave me two things, though. It gave me extreme focus
Mhm.
and extreme intention, tenacity, because I didn't have a plan B.
Mhm.
So,
And
yeah.
so essentially, when you went to New York initially, you stayed in New York, meaning all of these shows were filmed in New York, were they
No,
not?
only one. Only
Only
one
one.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, out of all of them, one was. And talk about, you'll appreciate this because you're so fashionable, okay? You'll appreciate this. Midwestern clothing. Get a
Mhm.
job in New York City, and I show up in New York City around 1988,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
And I am in my white granny boots, my long white skirt.
Oh, but that's pretty
It
cool.
it stood out because it was only
Mhm.
black. I mean, you
Mhm.
wear black because
That's
it
well,
was
I see. I
dirty.
get it. Yes,
Yeah,
black is black. Yes, there
yeah, and
for
I
sure.
didn't have much of
Fashionable.
anything else, and so that's what I showed up in New York City wearing, and to this day, my manager that I kept for many, many years, he's
Mhm.
just retired last year, but for many years, he would say to me, "Do you remember what they said about your clothes when you first got here?" I was like, "Yes, yes,
But
I
you learn
do."
pretty quickly because all the stores, that is what they have too.
Yeah,
They
they didn't offer any I couldn't replace my white granny boots in New York City,
no,
so
no,
I
that
I
would
had
not
to
happen.
adapt or die. Yeah,
Or die.
that was pretty much it.
So how long were you in New York, and then you went to California?
I was there for 6 years,
Oh, wow.
and then, I went to California, worked out there on several shows, nighttime and daytime, had,
Mhm.
great fun, but I, at one point, had a representation that, unbeknownst to me, went back to NBC and said, because they wanted the commission check, and they said, what could you offer my client? She wants to come back to New York. And I didn't, interestingly enough.
Uh-huh.
And then they called me up and they said, would you consider going back to New York and being on that show? And I'm like, no, I'm done with New York. I'm good.
Mm,
And they said, well, we've been talking to them. And then it kind of this whole awkward thing.
mhm,
And, it's one of those things, be careful what you wish for. So I
mhm,
said, okay, I'll go back if they give me blah, 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 blah. Right. And it was outrageous. I
mhm,
thought it was outrageous what I asked for.
mhm.
And they came back and said yes.
Okay.
So I left half of my stuff in LA. I
Ah,
took some
mhm,
stuff over back to New York, and I was bi-coastal for a while because they weren't really sure the show in New York was going to stay. So I,
mhm.
I thought, bi-coastal, that is so sexy. I'm going to be,
Absolutely. Right.
no, so
Jetting
not.
back and forth.
So
Yes,
not.
yes,
It's really not. It's
yes.
exhausting. It's
And
exhausting.
and so as you start to share about acting, because I don't know, I really don't, and I'm
Mhm.
sure many of our guests don't either. Would
Mm.
you say that many actors are creating or hiding, like you said, or creating that safety place? Do you feel that that is true? I mean, because obviously you met many, many actors
Yes,
over
I've
the
worked
years.
with them, and you become a family when you work the way I did.
Hmm.
For the most part, I was a cast member on each of these shows. There
Yeah.
were a few, the nighttime shows that I mentioned, that I was guest star or
Hmm.
even a co-star on one of them. So I was not an integral part other than that show. But even at that point, you're working together in unison. So yes, I worked with a lot. In general, even since I started Charisma on Camera, working with clients on, this presentation stuff, and now with Charismatic Cowgirl and Horsepowered Consulting, I'm still working with professionals in various industries. And I can tell you
Hmm.
that working with artists of all kinds,
Hmm.
that is definitely something that I see. There are many artists that would like to take their art, their music, and put it up here.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's the first thing and maybe the only thing you see.
Uh-huh.
And
And
I
then you
think that's
scratch
that's what I
away.
had. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's
Hmm.
what I had. And, it's not that I mean, if it works for them,
Hmm.
okay. For me, it didn't work. And it
Hmm.
was because I think that my design I think that by design with a capital D, I think that by design, I had the inkling that I was supposed to do something more impactful.
Yeah.
Now, that said, when I kinda got this idea, I had no idea how I could even have a conversation with somebody, let alone be impactful.
Mhm.
But I did notice that I was having impact on people on the show. I had a platform, and there were a few times when things that were really close to my heart. Now, this is where that conviction, that what do you stand for no matter what? That's a question that I ask when I'm working with people when they're branding, the very beginning of me working with them, personal branding. What do you stand for? This is part of your brand. Everybody has a personal brand, by the way. You either choose it consciously or you don't. I'm a big fan, I know you are too, of choosing consciously.
Absolutely.
So
But
it's
spend a minute on that, because there are a lot, I shared with you, I've been spending time on Clubhouse, and,
yes,
and just what it's done for me, I'll just share this little side
yes,
note, is that I heard in my spirit, talk. What does that mean? And so, I have had the opportunity then to use it as a training ground to talk, to
yes.
share thoughts and ideas. And but one of the subject lines that they in various rooms will speak about branding versus marketing. And that's a very interesting point that you
Yeah.
just made, that everyone has their own personal brand. Spend a minute on
Yes.
that, Sandra.
Um, the brand is something, here's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
My favorite explanation or definition of a brand I got from one of the coaches that I worked with. And I have to say, I absolutely love it. I don't know where she got it, whether it's hers or not. But
Mhm.
the definition of a brand that I love is the promise of an experience. So when I'm speaking, I'll put up
Good.
slides from the red carpet. Like I think whatever award show it was, but I pulled a picture of George Clooney and his wife, and he was in a suit and she was in a green off the shoulder beautiful dress.
Mhm.
Then I pulled another picture of a couple with a man in a suit and a girl in an off the shoulder green dress. That was Miley Cyrus and her now ex-husband.
Mhm.
And I put them both up there and I said, so each of these women has a personal brand. The promise of the experience of hanging out with each one of them is drastically different, although I could say they're dressed the same.
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
mean, technically, right? The dresses were very different, as you can imagine, right? I mean,
for
Miley's was
sure.
all radical, but it was an off the shoulder green dress, right?
Wow, that's great.
So it's kind of like if you have two coaches in a room, they may both work with entrepreneurial women and small businesses, but they're going to have completely different flavors the second that those women walk into a networking event or a
Mhm.
conference room.
Mhm.
They're going to have a totally different quote unquote promise of an experience.
Mhm. I
What
love
is
that.
that? And
Love.
is it in alignment with is yours in alignment with who you are? That's the question to ask. What are you actually relaying?
That we will put that in the text of this, because it's, you think of a Harley Davidson,
hmm
the promise of that experience.
Yes. Or you can even get more detailed when you look at some of the brands that I use as examples of this. So, and we see car commercials on TV all the time. So
Right.
this is an easy way to look at the difference between the different flavors, right?
Mhm.
You have Jaguar,
Mhm.
and then you have BMW.
Mhm.
They're both luxury vehicles. And then what is the experience when you watch each commercial? Jaguar is decadent. It's sexy. It's beautiful
Mhm.
lines.
Mhm.
It's a different
Mhm.
feel. It's kind of like you're looking at Lincoln now has totally changed the way they were 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Now they're in the luxury division and it's very little about the car.
Mhm.
It's the sound of the water on the windows. It's the sound of the stereo on the inside. It's this very rich, luxurious experience, right? And then you get BMW, which is also a luxury vehicle,
Mhm.
but it's more about the drive, the
Mhm.
excitement,
Mhm.
the vibrance of their brand
Mm.
comes through.
Yes,
It's you spend the same amount of money possibly on either any of them,
for sure.
but it's going
Correct.
to appeal to a totally different audience.
Wow. Very, very interesting. So now
Yeah.
take that, like you said, and that was a great example, though, about Amal and
Yes.
Clooney there,
Yes.
and Miley
Yeah.
Cyrus.
It's very
The
different.
experience or the promise. The operative word is promise.
Yes.
Promise of the experience.
Yes.
So take that to one step, and then we'll go into where you are today with your work and your
Yeah.
husband. That is such an interesting piece to you as well.
Quite. He's got.
But the personal brand, because I'm
Yes.
thinking about you and I, you know, that,
Yeah.
we do similar things, but not really. But, there's a promise of an experience,
Yeah, that
Interesting.
uplifting and what is that promise? And another thing to think about is I work with my clients on touch points for their brand. So we go through this intricate thing. We ask questions like, what is it that you're an expert in? Get really fine on that. What is it that
Right.
you are brilliant? What is your inner brilliance? Like your unique brilliance? Probably
Mhm.
something you've been doing since you were a kid.
Mhm.
We pull that out. All of these things are part of the
That's great.
brand. And there's certain language that goes with some of the archetypes of this brand that are really helpful to understand. That number one, you can use them in your copy and your videos. And second, if someone comes up to you and starts using those words, you go, my people.
Exactly.
My
Yes.
people. These are my people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can make sure you have a conversation with them, because there could be an alignment there for you, whether they're a client, a customer, affiliate, a partner, or even a mentor, whatever it is that you're looking for. But that language is something that we're not just looking for clients and customers and followers. We really, I believe, or I know I am looking for those that I can really make a difference.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
because if we can make a difference, I know I'm saying we, because I think you were with me on this,
100%.
Megan, that if we can make a difference in somebody that's leading, then they're going to take whatever they have transformed, whether it's their, an input of compassion or focus or whatever it is that we can deliver to them. And then they take that to their organization, their community, their family. There's a ripple effect that comes from helping just that one person. So rather than try to bend people, I was watching a documentary show on sodas last night on Pepsi and PepsiCo. Rather than try to change the Coca-Cola people into Pepsi people, they went out and found the real Pepsi lovers.
Right.
They're
Right.
like,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think
You're
we're going to go for,
authentic.
these people are liking us already. Let's go more that direction. So that's kind of what it is. Does your brand speak to the people that you most want to be attracted to what it is that you're doing?
Very much so. Before we began, I was on a podcast, and the producer of the podcast, after it was over, I said, so what did you get from her? However, I asked the question, and she held up a legal pad with pages, goes, oh, these are all my notes.
Oh, good. That's going to make you feel good, right?
Well, and like you said, she has a nonprofit, and it actually has a connection on some level to beauty, because she had acne, and it was about finding your inner beauty.
Yes.
So like you said, here's my tribe. And
Yeah.
so, yes.
Yeah.
So,
You go, oh,
so
there it
true.
is. My people.
My people.
My
Yes.
people. Yeah.
That is so wonderful, though, that you took what you have done in your career and tremendous experience. I mean, you were a pro in this, but you recognized that you needed to take that and share and use it to help others.
Yes. I think I alluded to not being able to even have a conversation with somebody, not having very powerful presence, which was a term that I coined a couple of years ago, right? Having that powerful presence as part of your persona. I didn't have that at all. I did horrible in so many interviews. Nobody was there to coach me. I had no one like me, like doing what I do, saying,
Yes.
hey, no, you should be doing this. I had no validation. I didn't grow up with any emotional support or any, hey, you can go do it. It was always the opposite. So
Yes.
very critical household. And so I had a very critical conversation going on all the time up here.
Yes.
And because of that, and being an introvert, so many other things, I found that the only way that I was able to really step forward and take the main stage and grab a microphone was when I had complete conviction on what it was that I was talking about. So another question that I ask people when it comes to the branding is, what do you stand for no matter what? And if I had an opportunity to stand for something that I felt very strongly about, suddenly I could contact celebrities from NBC and say, hey, I'm doing this fundraiser for this cause. Can you come down to it? And we've got you a bus. It was a school bus, mind you. But my friend had a school bus company. I said, I'm sending a school bus for you. So there we are, these celebrities, Saturday Night Live, people coming down in school buses. from New York City to New Jersey where I would do these fundraisers, but they meant so much to me. I felt that it was so important. And back then, interestingly enough, that I just put this together, that fundraiser was all about education, educating on compassion and acceptance.
Wow.
and animals. It was an animal sanctuary that somehow was developed. Long story short, I don't need to go into it, but it was an animal sanctuary that actually started as a humane society, and people that bought these exotic animals and whatnot would dump them. And because they didn't know what to do with them. Once an alligator outgrows the bathroom, what do you do with it, right? You dump it at this place. They ended up getting animals that were abandoned on roadside zoos and various things. So they had lions, tigers, and bears, literally. And they were only supported by people's donations. The beautiful thing about the education of that I thought was great, each one of these animals had the story of their traumatic situation.
Oh, wow.
And some of them were scarred. There was a monkey that was scarred by a zookeeper that threw boiling water on him previously. Not that zoo, obviously. They had rescued him from the zoo. But, the kids would recoil and they'd say, oh, here's a story. And he would come over and he was super friendly. And so it was teaching them love and compassion and all of those wonderful things and how to build relationships, which all these years later, that's still what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So
but you took the Saturday Night Live people to this. Oh my goodness. But that was showing
God
them
bless
what
them.
you just said, compassion. Well, it was opening their eyes, and whether they received it or not was their choice. But
I think they received it from the beginning because they came down to help me raise the funds. So I knew that they had a heart in it. We collected, there were a lot of people that came. There were a lot of big soap fans back then. The soaps were huge back then. And so I had other soap stars from other shows that were coming. And then I had the Saturday Night Live people. It was a very NBC laden thing, but it was very cool. And that was when I first realized, oh, I can actually make an impact. I can do good. And that was the first seed that kind of started to grow into where, somebody said to me, you need to work with people and help them be good on camera, after I reached a certain point of comfort myself. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. I've never done that.
So I just want to stop here for a sec. Like I shared with you about unique leaders, to help our guests see that it's that seed.
Yes.
That meaning you left Pittsburgh with chutzpah, as they say in New York.
I did have that. Yeah. I did have that.
With your white go-go boots and your white, probably pencil skirt.
It was a pencil skirt with a little flare at the bottom.
Oh, I'm sure I can see it, but which was very cool. But anyhow, you left there and went to New York, and you learned your craft and grew and grew and grew, which were seeds.
Yeah.
And then that next seed. So regardless, I mean, I was never an actress. I mean, although my mother called me Sarah Bernhardt, that's why I think, oh yes, that's why I think this all resonates with me. But what you said then about being doing that fundraiser was that next seed.
Yeah, it
So
was
we
something
all
that
have
when
those
this
seeds.
feels
So-
good. Yeah, it's where this feels good. So there's an exercise that I put in my book. I call it the aha exercise. So moments like that, which I'm sure you can relate to too, Megan, where it was a seed that opened and you went, oh, this is a great moment. I want this to last forever. This is great, right? I've hit on something. This feels really good. That is an aha moment. And so I like to harvest those moments from someone's life in childhood, young adulthood, and adulthood. And then there's questions that go with that. Most importantly, what did you do to make those things happen? You did something every single time, even if you were a little kid. Like, I didn't do anything. I just asked my mom. How often did you ask your mom for that, whatever it was, for that bike? Oh, every day, forever. I said, so you tenaciously marketed.
Exactly. Right. Sold and marketed, yes.
You sold and marketed, and you led that campaign or whatever it was, and sometimes people will laugh, but then they'll go, yeah, I did. It's like, well, did you get all the kids together to play football, or was it somebody else's idea? Oh no, it was my idea. Oh, okay. So we see that theme that this person does those same things all throughout their life, for every one of those moments that they went, yeah, this feels good. So that if somebody is off of that, trying to make it work, I had to girl that called herself a serial entrepreneur. She would start something, it looked great, and then she would just let it fizzle. And she came to me, she's like, and this is when I was first starting to do this. I said, let me do this with you gratis. Let me just see what we come up with. And, we did this. And at the time, I mean, it can take a long time to do this. We took half a day to do this. And at the end of the day, we were so clear that all through her life, she had been the organizer who then delegated to everybody to get things done. And what she was doing in her serial entrepreneur failures, as she looked at them, was trying to do everything herself. That wasn't her unique brilliance at all.
No.
So it's when those little sparks happen that you go, man, this is awesome. That is a seed, as you say it. That's something opening up. It's time to sit in that and say, okay, how do I recreate this? What about this is feeling good? And I realized it was because I was able to make a difference. More of a difference than I thought I could do sitting on a talk show talking about a soap opera.
Right. Yes. Wow.
So,
but you're speaking, and like I was the one that put all the plays together. My
there
brother,
you go.
you will be Jesus, and you will be, my sister. You'll be the nun, okay, and then the lemonade stand, because I've always been into making money. So it's like, okay, let's do this. So yes, and I recognize that. But what you are doing is genius. I mean, I've known you have consulted, but I really didn't know the essence. And so that this is genius because, like you said earlier, it takes many people their lifetimes and they still don't get it,
Yeah.
And
I have family that, I look at and go, but unfortunately it's family.
Yes.
So, I so want them to unpack all of their genius and they just keep it in a safe little box. And I go, no, the fun's on the outside.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they make sure, like the new Pink song, those walls on their box are so solid that they don't want any cracks to come in. But like one of my favorite lyrics of Pink's new song is allow the cracks in the walls, right? The cracks are where the light comes in.
That is such a great song. Yes. It is so true. It is like that structure. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very sad, but
it's true.
But it is, but sad, but true. Yes. So you're doing such amazing work. So Elizabeth, my producer asked me, "Do you live in our time zone?" And I said, "Yes, she lives in Austin."
I do. I do.
Not our time zone, but you're around the corner. But not really, but close enough.
Yes.
But with that, you are on a beautiful farm with your beautiful animals that you're now, speaking. We're coming up to our end of our visit. We need to have a continuation of this.
That's fine.
But how long have you lived where you live? And so how much of where you live on this beautiful farm contributes to what you're doing currently?
Well, we live on this beautiful farm because of the download of what I'm doing currently. So, it came about, I had the idea given to me when I was it was actually California, but years before I ever did anything with it, watching a woman and her husband actually build this incredible farm in the Midwest. I mean, like real Midwest. I think when we were there, they had 230 acres. They've since been given more. And this entire farm was designed to help children that were victims of sex trafficking from all around the world, not only be safe, but to recover and become whole. And it was very faith oriented, and then make sure that they were actually able to go out and live healthy, normal lives and productive in, society and family and all that. That's a tough thing to handle. And that was the first place that I saw horses doing amazing things for people. And really just by being themselves. And it set a seed, right? That was one of those, wow, this is making an impact. This is an amazing moment, learning this and seeing this. And I'm not sure what it means. I remember taking the flight home and going, God, I don't really know why I experienced that. And all I got was, you'll see. It was years later when certain things fell into place, the dominoes fell into place. I met this person, that person, gave this a try with my community to see if they'd be interested. Because at that time and for a long time, I thought the horse, clarity work was over here, and that my clarity work and communication on stage and video was over here. Like they were two totally separate pillars. One, in fact, now I realize they go together wonderfully. It's all about authentic leadership and communication. It's all about remembering who you are, coming from that space. And when you own your magnificence, the world responds accordingly. Whether it's your audience in a video, in a conference, in a boardroom, or whether it's an animal that is 2,000 pounds that doesn't know your story, doesn't speak your language. But if you're in that space, they respond to you just as if they did understand everything you were saying, or more. So it does all kind of go together. But when I got the download, I did get the name Charismatic Cowgirl and thought, well, that's cool. And I was doing the whole Moses thing, Lord, not me, not me, not me, not me. It's not me, it's not. And we kept, it was a total God thing, even of how we got this place. It was on the market, and the market wasn't quite as crazy as it is now. I mean, not just in Austin. I know everybody across the United States can tell you that all their markets are probably going nuts for real estate right now. And every time we would see something we would like, we couldn't even get on a plane and it'd be gone. And so this sat on the market for almost 60 days.
Oh, wow.
And it was well over what we had set we were going to spend. Long story short, our realtor came and said, I found your place. And he sends a picture of the barn, which was the thing that we fell in love with in the first place. And we kept going, it's the place. Don't look at the place. It was always in our feed. Like, don't look at the place. We can't afford it. It's not a place. And he sent us a picture because I found your home. We're like, yeah, we know this one. We can't afford this one. Well, as it happened, they had a full cash backup offer. We made a lowball offer and apologetically said, this is what we can do. And the woman that owned the place said, I just felt that you should have it.
Oh, wow.
And we bought the barn. I walk into the barn. We bought it without actually setting foot on the property. I walk into the barn. It is set up. It is a cowgirl barn. It was owned by women, designed by women. It is a bar that is decoupaged with vintage cowgirl postcards. Everything about it is cowgirl and done beautifully. So we jokingly say, my husband says, we bought the barn, the house came with it. And that's how we ended up here, and then we just filled it with horses. We had 2 horses. And of course it's expanded since we got here, but that's it. And so I started initially just doing workshops and testing out the idea. And now we're filling up fall. Finally, it's exciting. I think good and bad about the pandemic. I think that people have now started to understand that mental health, taking care of themselves, finding their passion, connecting to who they are, really living a life of purpose has become important.
Very much so. I see a dramatic shift in that arena.
Yeah. So I think interesting you said arena. I see what you did there. It's very good. But it's because of that the fall retreats are, they're more of a luxury. We have luxury retreats that are a day and a half long, and our fall is filling up. We're halfway full already. So organizations can come. I have one, what I call organic, that I put on myself, but the other weekends are open for organizations, and 2 or 3 are already taken. So you can come with your organization in a group of 20 or less and do a private retreat here with the horses. And it's not riding. It's all done on the ground. It's all about communication and relationship building, obviously in a very kinesthetic, natural environment. So, yeah.
I want to come.
You have to come. Yes, right around the corner.
I know, right? I could hitchhike and get there. But yes. But I have been there. And it is, when I go to your home and the barn and the whole environment, it's one of my happy places. It's just very, very special. Very special.
Thank you. The property does have that feel about it, and it's just our job to steward it, So we're grateful to have it.
And that's why, and that's another point, is that God blessed you because you were supposed to be there, and open doing his work. So it's very, very, very real that is so.
That's true.
Well, as we finish today, I mean, we could go on and on, but I'm asking do you feel you've shared that what you have wanted to share about what you're doing? If there's something else you'd like to.
Yeah, I think so. I think if anybody wants to learn more about either the presentation coaching or learn more about the equine retreats, we're working on the page. In fact, as we started, I was sending off a note because I have a new video that I'm putting up on the retreat page today, and it wasn't looking right. I'm like, But
we'll have that in the text.
Yeah, Sandra Dee Robinson, myname.com. They can find all of that and connect with me on social media. Yeah.
So
perfect.
So at the end of our visit, I always ask my guests the same thing. And it's really based on the book 3 Feet from Gold,
Yes.
Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed. And
Yes.
Sharon in there has her success formula. Well, we all know the basics. I mean, not if you have not read it, but the story basically is autobiographical about Greg Reed. But the early piece of the book is about a guy that was from the East Coast and had gold fever and went west and bought his property and chiseled away, gave up, town he bought it, 3 feet, he hit gold.
Yep.
So, but that's piece of the book. But Sharon has in it her success formula, which is your passion plus talent times association times action plus faith equals success. Now, I'm not
Yes.
going to ask you all of that.
I love that.
But isn't it good?
Yes.
But what I ask my guests is, what is your passion and what is your talent?
Ooh, my passion is helping people. My passion is to help people remember their unique design and bring them closer to
Mhm.
God.
Mhm.
I should say to bring them closer to appreciate how God designed them, which then in turn helps that whole relationship too. But
Right. Mhm.
To shine light on God's great design for people, for the planet.
Mhm.
That's my mission. And then what was the second one?
What is your talent?
Ooh. Oh, that one's harder. Intuitive, very intuitive. And it
Mhm.
took me a while to actually appreciate that because I thought it was crazy for a good bit of time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the ability to read people, to
Mhm.
see things, to see beauty and nuggets inside of things that I can then pull out. I think
Mhm.
that's always been there for me.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure.
Mm.
It's just been with your own seeds developed, and now you're able to impart that to others. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Well, as I said, it's I was sharing with someone the previous person that joined me, and I said that it's interesting. Most people answer the same way, differently, but it's all about the other person helping others. And I don't think you can be a unique leader without truly having that in your spirit of helping others.
So true. I
Actual others.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I've been so blessed in listening to all of your wonderful journeys, and that is what it is. So thank you so much for sharing today, Sandra
Yeah.
Dee.
Thank you for
Really appreciate it.
asking. Thank you for asking. Thank you for doing the show.
My pleasure, truly my pleasure, and it gets even more so. So thank you. And we will have all of your information in the body of this so everyone can find you and that beautiful property and everything. And they don't even have to come there, just work with you online. So
True.
that's wonderful. Well, thank you, my love. We'll
Thank
see
you.
soon. Be blessed. Thank you. Wow, wow, wow. I so enjoyed that myself because first off, I know Sandra Dee. I know her heart, I know her beauty, but the tools that she has put together from all her experiences sharing with us and actualizing those experiences to help you find your inner star, so to speak. We all are. We're all gifts from God. We are all treasures of God. We just have to uncover that and know that it is there. It is truly my pleasure to share these amazing people with you and for you to glean these stories and find your own little pieces. Like she said, those little clues along the way, those little aha moments, as she said that she had written in her book, Sandra Dee's book. So please share this out because there are so many people that would love to hear A, her story, but B, the tools that she is now using to help all of us uncover our inner stars. And then not only share this out, but then also know that on Tuesday of this coming week, this will be a podcast. So it'll be on all of the podcast platforms where you can go work out, take your walks, and so forth, and listen to Sandra Dee and my other guests that have been with me on Unique Leaders Live. I have written a book. I shared that. I don't know if I shared it today with Sandra Dee, but it's Hope and Possibilities Just Over the Horizon. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. And it is on my website, novitasspa.com, and also megandimartino.com. They're both linked, but I would invite you to go to novitasspa.com because my affiliate program has just been launched on our new website, novitasspa.com. Novita means new birth, new life, always something new. And that's my promise. I promise to continue to do Unique Leaders, to bring people like Sandra Dee that will just share with you their hearts, their spirits, and their information that will truly make a difference in your lives. And then as I call it, Beauty with Benefits with the affiliate program. And then coming is my course, Propel Business and Life Accelerator. So all of that to come. So with that said, I look forward to seeing you next Friday on another Unique Leaders Live, where we have another exceptional guest to share their truly unique story. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon.